Last time we were talking about the activist with examples of Kasparov, Michael Tal. The link is down below if you haven't watched this yet and if you just joined now. But today we're talking about something very special. Special because there's one reflector who is, he's the most significant example of champion at the moment, Magnus Carlsen, the reflector. Carsten, what is the reflector?
Yeah, the reflector is the deepest and most difficult player type, and probably also the most seldom. It's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
There were 5 world champions, but in general, I guess that the player type is extremely rare.
Is it because they are Wunderkinder or?
No, Wunderkinder are not rare.
That sounds very good. So everybody could become a reflector.
No, this might be one of the reasons.
That's
no,
interesting.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think everybody can try to become more and more pragmatic, and this might work, and certain activist strengths might also, and you can learn theory and so on. This you can all do quite well.
Okay.
But the deep reflector capabilities you have or you haven't. It's like a musician with an absolute hearing.
Okay.
You were born with it, you have it, then you have it. Or you don't have it, but you can't get it. Or like certain other things, certain human capabilities, the people who can calculate numbers with 50 digits and multiply them in the head in 1 second, you can do it or you can't do it. Can you do it? I can't. There are humans who can do it in pocket calculators, but other humans can't do it. And then you can train it as much as you want. You can never learn it. Your brain can do it, or your brain can't do it.
Oh, wow. I thought that's just my opinion, but of course this is a long discussion for about things like this. I thought you can only not achieve physical like excellence. For example, I'm 1.88 meters tall, but I will probably never become an NBA basketball star because I do not have the 2 meters, which makes it just more likely to become a basketball player or something like that. But very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at the reflector.
Yeah, this will go on forever. But I think also the brain has this. There are some people who can speak 50 languages fluently, but it won't work. I can learn as many languages as I like. I could never speak 50 languages. Some people say, well, I can speak 100, but I just can't.
Wow.
Maybe human brains are also different in a certain respect, and some humans can and some humans can't. And in this
Gotcha.
respect, I think the reflector capabilities, they are special.
I see. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I can completely agree with that.
There are 5 world champions, Capablanca, Smyslov, Petrosyan, Anatoly Karpov, and of course, the reigning and ruling world champion Magnus Carlsen.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Further reflectors are Michael Adams, Akiba Rubinstein, Vincent Keimer, the great big German young talent, Klaus Bischoff, and from the German, one of my, Angstgegner. Yeah, he, always, yeah, whatever. Everybody has his Angstgegner.
Well, because you're an activist.
You name it. And the neural network computer programs like AlphaZero and Lila Zero.
Yeah, they're pretty good too, I heard.
With the computers, it's different, but the neural networks I would characterize as reflectors. Because the reasoning is, they have, of course, all things, they are relatively universal, but AlphaZero learned by playing against itself and then by saving the motives. AlphaZero has learned billions of motives and connected them, and then has made some databases no human has understood so far. No human can understand these gigabytes of AlphaZero data, but they must say, it's like the human brain, yeah? There must be some details on deep chess motives hidden there, the big treasure troves. And this is why I think they are reflectors.
Interesting. Ooh.
Yeah, and they are very dangerous motives, like all strong reflectors. But we could continue this computer business. So Alpha beta engines, of course, are pragmatics. That's clear. They are pure pragmatics. But they have a theorist component with the evaluation function from outside. There, a theory is brought into the pragmatic things. You could say the queen is 9, 10, 100, or 1. This brings a theory into the alpha beta business. And this theory is not in Alpha Zero because Alpha Zero has learned all by itself. It's not,
okay, I got you.
How to say, difficult to say. There are no human theories in Alpha Zero because there are no human theory input. It would also be interesting, by the way, but it would last forever. For these self-learning things, for mathematics, medicine, whatever, it's interesting. If it's better if you get human theories there or if you don't do it. If you say learn all by yourself and we don't tell you what we think. Okay, deep question, of course.
Very good questions, too. I like that. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so, and of course, the games like the match Alpha Zero against, and if you put the material evaluation relatively low, then you have an activist program. So what I like here is all 4 player types are also canonically easily represented in the 4 engines. I think this is also this is a very good sign for Lars Bo Hansen's model. Because even in this, if you look only through the computer's eyes, or through our eyes to the computer world, you see easily, directly all 4 types.
Interesting.
And so in the 1990s, Deep Junior was the activist of the engines because it had a relatively low material. So you can easily and canonically in the engine world find all 4 player types.
What, Fritz is probably more an activist, right?
The modern Fritz 8. Oh, I can't. This
hard to tell.
This I must have a look.
I would say he's a hyperactivist.
No. There I can say definitely
in the easy
and for
game.
sure no.
In the brilliancies.
In the modern geführt berührt mode you mean.
Exactly.
That is okay, but that opens another.
One.
Okay, this. I think this.
Yes.
I suggest to close this door. But okay, this would be another topic for the engine programmers to program engines who play like human player types.
Well, that is the closest we can get to with Fritz 18.
Okay, but this door I want to close here. But
fair enough.
But that is even another job, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
let's continue.
Reflectors have a very deep understanding of the game. They can relevant patterns that no other can see. All other no other player types can see. It is there, but nobody else can see it. They have a deep feeling for harmony and coordination of the pieces. For example, with Bishop and Knight or so on, Magnus is extremely strong. The moment you have to coordinate several pieces, a Knight with several others, Magnus is much stronger than active players. They can talk to the pieces and have an absolute hearing for the answers of the pieces. No other player type has that. They are very strong to restrict the enemy's pieces more and to destroy the enemy's harmony and coordination. So active prophylaxis and dominance and restriction strategy are typical for them. They are especially good in questions of the right exchange, and because these are always long-term questions, and they are very, very strong. And they are in these long-term questions. They are stronger than all other. They don't calculate 200 moves ahead. They just know that they feel that in 200 moves, the 2 pieces will be better than the rook. They know that they feel. Yeah. They don't, calculate 200 moves ahead. They just, feel it.
Yeah. I mean, the best example was Nepomniachtchi against Carlsen. Yeah. Very recent, where Carlsen was just calculating. I don't need all those shenanigans with sacrificing, checkmating here. I will just win this rook endgame with 1 pawn more because I know 100% how I will win this.
Oh, this fantastic longest game of all time with rook and knight and 2 pawns against queen.
Another example.
Theoretically, it was a draw, but Magnus knew that he will play 200 moves and he will try that and maximize the harmony and. Well, you know what happened.
Well, no wonder then somebody like Klaus Bischoff is an Angstgegner. I think everybody who's playing against a reflector that's like an Angstgegner for almost everybody because they're just very powerful. What's their weaknesses? We will come to that.
We will come to that. But the big thing is that they have strengths you can't have when you don't have them already. You are a challenger, you are Fabiano Caruana, you are Zeljko Yakin, you are Jan Nepomniachtchi, all nice, but you can train as long as you want. These strengths you can't have.
Okay.
You can train for 100 years, 200, you can do whatever you want.
Time to give up chess, I would say, right?
No,
There's still hope.
No,
There's still hope.
There is a hope.
Okay,
But
let's continue a bit.
Magnus is but Magnus, of course, the additional thing is that Magnus is so universal. For a reflector, Magnus is amazingly universal.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's another problem.
Yeah. Okay, they are very good in collecting small advantages and adding them up. They are very good in strategical endgames because their strengths come full to the forefront while the dynamic potential of the queen doesn't disturb anymore. And it's not so easy to get dynamical chaos.
Yeah.
They have a good feeling for long time, so let's position sacrifices. There, of course, is Petrosian for long-term exchange sacrifices are also often a reflector things. Of course, activists also often sacrifice the exchange, but it's more like I give the rook and then I have dire king attack for it.
Yes.
But Petrosian have deeper, longer, also defensive, deep
understanding about how to defend it by
sacrificing exchange in a defensive way. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, and so yeah. So the reign of strong reflectors on the throne can be very long, like that of Karpov and Magnus Carlsen, and maybe even Capablanca's reign could have been longer, but we don't want to discuss.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
But it could have been longer in certain kind of respect. So because it's not so easy for the opponents to get to them, because their strengths are not easy to deal with and to acquire. Okay, weaknesses. They are often not so good in concrete calculation of variation. Karpov often, for example, this was one of Karpov, on a very high level, but Karpov didn't need to calculate because he dominated the opponent. The opponent only had backwards move anyway, yeah. Karpov had stopped all forwards moves by prophylaxis and needed no calculation because the backwards moves were not dangerous anyway. But this is one of their weaknesses. They are intuitive players and they are sometimes not so strong, but Magnus might be a slight exception here.
Oh gosh.
But okay, they should train this. And of course, openings could also be their weaknesses. They are often not so interested in openings.
Yes.
It's enough for them when they get Magnus says, I have a play Magnus position. And the computer might say 0, 0, 0, but who cares about that? I'm not interested in it. I just play chess.
I see. Huh.
And then outplay the opponent. So against reflectors, you should try to get concrete dynamic positions where the price of any move is extremely high and you have to calculate concrete variations and cannot just play by feeling and intuition. But of course, it must be said, Magnus is very strong, and as a young player, he could be seen even as activist in his youth. So he's very... Okay, typical openings, playing positions are enough. Their objective advantage or computer evaluation is not important. But of course, it would be good to be variable to get out of the opponent's preparation so that the opponent can get in concrete, clear variation. This is Fabiano Caruana managed this quite well in his World Championship match against Magnus.
Yeah.
And yeah, he always this manages very, very well. Okay, typical openings are, of course, D4 and strategical systems, or E4 and Spanish with C3 and D4, or slow Italian with C3, D3. Yeah.
Oh, those shenanigans. My
gosh. But of course, it must be said, Magnus really is outstanding here again, because for Capablanca and Karpov, you could really say they had a certain weakness on a very, very high level in this concrete calculation.
Yeah.
But Magnus also is very strong here.
Is an activist one of the worst opponents for a reflector? Or does it depend again?
It, of course, depends. But,
because if I understand correctly, an activist is the one who sometimes just goes like, this should be enough initiative to... but because the reflector also doesn't calculate the variations for too long and has an intuition that
But if you have very,
clash.
very strong reflectors, I fear like Magnus Carlsen or Karpov...
Yeah. Then you will just get crushed.
But in a way, it could be said that Kasparov learned by playing Karpov, and from an activist, he became more pragmatic, and then he beat Karpov. So that would be an example for this theory. For Magnus, I cannot give examples because Magnus has played 5 matches and won all of them.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe we see each other in a couple of years again, and then we know.
But for Capablanca and Karpov, your theory would work, and the activists Alekhine and Kasparov won the matches.
I want to see an example now, Carsten.
But this for Magnus, I can't answer. We have to wait for the future. So let's see an example. Let's see one of the big wins of the great reflector, Anatoly Karpov against the activist Boris Spassky. And this is a typical strong reflector against activist game where the activist is just crushed.
I don't like that. Anyway, let's get into this.
We could also have taken Müller examples, but I decided to take this example. Okay, it's one of the most famous games anyway. Okay, why to move to exchange the queens or to play queen f1?
Well, probably.
But then bring the queen to c4.
Probably exchange the queens, right?
Of course not.
Oh no! Of course not. But look, there's the c2.
But this is one of the these questions of the right exchange. They are very, and reflectors are extremely strong.
Yeah. Okay. So they probably find the strongest move. Okay.
No.
Oh, it's not even hanging. What am I talking about? I'm just not a reflector.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Active prophylaxis, making luft for the king, taking g4 out of things. And what now? Now comes again another big moment. What did Karpov play now?
Is it bishop g4?
Yeah.
Well, that
and then
pretty natural.
One of the big advantage of the bishop pair is that you can exchange it, but if you would never transform that. But here, for this question of the right exchange, reflectors are extremely strong. This is one of their big strengths, of course.
Okay.
Okay, now comes a mistake, but it's a typical activist mistake. Yeah, what should Spassky have played now? But it's understandable that he didn't go there. He will then suffer forever, but it's...
What's the threat here? Of course, yeah, the rook can go to d1. There's pressure on f7.
What's this threat? I don't even have to threaten. You are just positionally... If you don't do anything big, you are positionally losing. You will find out why. It has to do with the queenside structure.
Oh, gosh.
I won't go into more details because we will find out. If you do nothing special, you will get crushed easily. You have to change something big here because positionally you are busted.
I am probably getting crushed because I do not see it that much.
Again, Müller against strong reflector is going to get crushed.
Yeah,
this is not a good position. This is not a good position against.
Definitely not.
Okay,
no.
so we saw Church earlier, but what would here the big thing to change it? It's understandable that he didn't go here, but from the computer point of view, it's a no-brainer.
I don't know. King G7.
No. King G7 doesn't change anything.
I thought I could play F5 after that. But
this changes it, then you are probably losing more quickly. But this is also one of the big secrets of the game. I know it also as activists. These pawn moves, they can be good, but they can also lead to a quicker loss. We could look at many Müller games when you...
Well, yeah.
When the position is not ripe for it, then the opening will just lead to a quicker loss than not opening. You have to play Queen E6. We can easily understand why we didn't go there, but now it's a different game, and the drawing we are playing for 2 results, and we understand that Spassky didn't go here, and I see he was not liking to have the prospects to defend this awful position, but this is psychological. But you have to go here, and here you have some drawing chances with black. And the computer is absolutely sure that you could go there. And here player type doesn't matter for reasons of this. Also, when does the player type matter? When not? Here, for reasons of objectivity, you must play like this. The game has also an objective component. You cannot overrule it with the player type things.
It came through my mind, but I thought it's just too bad, but it seems to not be.
I fully understand you, and we could argue that, and so on. This you could go on forever.
Yeah.
But objectively, you must play Queen E6.
Okay.
Here we will soon see why, if you don't go there, you are just crushed. Yeah, now, one moment, I don't want to miss that. Okay, but why? Here, excuse me, this also was one player type moment we should.
Yeah.
Rook F1 wins. But here's a typical player type. This wins by force as well, just to It wins by force as well. It's a typical player type question, I think. I guess Karpov didn't even look at it. Karpov saw Rook F1 is big and winning and doesn't matter, and it's reflect or win, and it wins.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even see that.
It's a typical player type thing. That's why I'm talking about it. Rook F1 is a reflector move and winning, or But this also wins, and pragmatics and activists and concreter player would go here. Yeah, this is winning. White is winning here. I think Karpov didn't even consider it.
Wow.
But the engine says game over. We resign. And certain player types would play it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Super
And
interesting.
Karpov probably didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
But it's also winning, so the engine it's a matter of taste, style, and type here.
Mm-hmm.
We have the objectivity. Black had to play Queen E6 for objective reasons. And we have the type questions you can win both ways. It is a matter of style. Here comes a big move Karpov had foreseen, and it's also resignable. What did he play? A typical big reflective move, and then it's white. Then it's in a way comparable to the bishop c5 line. But you need this big move.
Rook E2?
No.
No.
Yeah, could be played, but the move is much better.
So
Much better.
okay, this is a crazy. I have to get completely out of my hyperactivist
What
mind.
is our worst piece, and how can it be improved?
It's the knight, and it will go to b1 because then it can jump over to f3 in the best case if the exchange will happen, right?
I resign. Yeah.
I resign. My goodness.
It can jump wherever, and it will be
go that
decisive piece. It can jump wherever, and and then black is just every backman. This is typical when you play against a reflector. In that fun moment, the moment will come where you realize that all your pieces are on the wrong squares.
Yeah, and I would
not one,
never ever play a move like this. Probably.
Okay, there's another typical Karpov move. You just improve the position. You improve the king. And now comes your move, but for some reason Karpov always also he doesn't only play your moves, but he also chooses the right moment. This is one small difference also.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And reflectors are very strong at that.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very strong. Yeah. Okay, we can't. This is winning. I don't know why plus whatever. So we can just look at the game.
Okay.
You don't have to go into too much detail. Here, of course, again. Here I probably guess this wins directly and whatever, but I guess Karpov didn't even look at it, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, once more.
An open file is like an open wound. It's really this wound. And if the rook takes then knight c5 and we win. Here Karpov had to calculate some lines, but
bishop d6 and stuff. Yeah.
And then f6 is hanging. Yeah. And here, an open file is like an open wound. And this really hurts. It really hurts.
Oh,
and
gosh.
So
oh, my God.
Boris Spassky resigned, not waiting for the cruel end of the days. Yeah, fantastic reflector style win by then he wasn't soon to be world champion Anatoly Karpov against ex-world champion at that moment Boris Spassky.
Yeah.
Typical game, strong reflector against activist, several player type questions, and really Karpov showed his reflector qualities, coordinating all pieces, the right exchange, the right moment to regroup the worst piece. And against strong reflectors, there often always comes this moment when you see not one piece is misplaced, all pieces are misplaced.
I know this feeling, I mean, I know this feeling a lot, but I'm probably not only playing against reflectors, but it's just my activist style, which is...
I mostly know it from playing it against the reflectors. That comes this one moment when you find out that this hasn't worked.
In the very beginning, I thought like a reflector is more of a genius type, but you also mentioned you play against, there are a lot of reflectors. You do not have to be a genius, but you just have to have these this fine feeling for making the right moves positionally and all of that. Is this correct? So also a hobby player can be a reflector.
Yeah, I also know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I know. Reflectors are relatively rare, but of course, I also know reflectors, and they often have the problem that they can calculate. They have not such a high rating for the reason that they can't calculate that
I got
well.
you.
They
Okay.
miss then short tactics
Yes.
in a way. But these very strong reflectors, of course, like Karpov and Carlsen especially, Carlsen never misses short tactics, and then he's very universal in a way. But you can a hobby player can be a reflector of course. That's I also know hobby players. that
Yeah,
are
because
reflectors.
I also know some players who have these characteristics
Yeah.
and who play exactly like this style, but maybe miss the further variations or calculations to completely.
And the other
go
thing
for
might
that.
be they might have problems with their opening repertoire.
Yeah.
This might be the second. So the typical weaknesses are the concrete calculation of variations. Reflectors are often not so strong, and opening questions you often not so interested in them. Just
Many more examples on this Fritz trainer available at the moment. And next time we will talk about the Pragmatic. So see you then.
see you then.